When Alex Lifeson said that without Neil Peart, it could never truly be Rush again, fans around the world felt the weight behind those words. This wasn't just grief speaking. It wasn't nostalgia either. Lifeson was drawing a line between preserving a legacy and trying to recreate something that can never exist again. For decades, Rush wasn't simply a rock band. It was a rare chemistry between three musicians who pushed each other creatively in ways almost no other band ever achieved. Neil Peart wasn't just the drummer, he was the architect behind many of the band's lyrics, concepts, and emotional depth. So after Peart's death in 2020, many believed Rush was officially over forever. But now, in a shocking twist nobody expected, Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson are preparing for a 2026 comeback tour with drummer Anika Nilles. At first glance, the decision sounds completely contradictory. If Alex Lifeson truly believes Rush cannot exist without Neil Peart, then why bring in another drummer at all? That question immediately exploded across the internet after rumors of the 2026 50-something tour started spreading online. Some fans celebrated the possibility of hearing Rush music live again, while others worried the band was crossing a line they once promised never to cross. But according to people close to the band, Geddy and Alex never viewed this tour as a replacement for Neil Peart. In fact, they reportedly rejected multiple ideas before finally agreeing to move forward. Their goal wasn't resurrection, it wasn't imitation, and it definitely wasn't pretending Neil could ever be replaced. Instead, the surviving members of Rush wanted to honor the music while acknowledging the painful truth that the original chemistry of Rush disappeared the moment Neil Peart passed away. That's where Anika Nilles enters the story. Unlike many drummers who grew up obsessively trying to copy Neil Peart's legendary style, Nilles approached the music differently. She became known worldwide because of her technical precision, creative rhythm patterns, and incredible control behind the drum kit. Her viral performances online caught the attention of drummers everywhere, including members of Rush's inner circle. According to reports, one of Rush's longtime crew members repeatedly recommended her to Geddy Lee after working around other major musicians in the industry. Eventually, Geddy looked her up online and was immediately impressed. But what truly separated Anika from other candidates wasn't just her skill, it was her understanding of musical emotion. Thousands of drummers can technically play Rush songs. Very few can understand the feeling behind them. That emotional sensitivity reportedly became one of the biggest reasons Geddy and Alex seriously considered her for the tour. Still, even after discovering Anika Nilles, Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson struggled emotionally with the idea of playing Rush music again. Neil Peart's absence wasn't just noticeable, it was overwhelming. For over 40 years, Rush operated like a musical machine built on trust, friendship, and near telepathic chemistry between three people. Removing one part of that equation changed everything forever. Alex Lifeson later hinted that any post-Peart version of Rush would have to be fundamentally different from the original band. That statement reveals the deeper philosophy behind this comeback. They are not trying to continue Rush as if nothing happened. Instead, they seem to be creating something closer to a reinterpretation of the music itself. According to insiders, rehearsals with Anika were emotional, difficult, and even uncertain at times. There were reportedly moments when the chemistry didn't immediately connect. But gradually, something unexpected started happening in the rehearsal room. By the later rehearsal sessions, Geddy and Alex reportedly felt the music coming alive again. Not in the same way as before, but in a new and emotionally honest way. Anika Nilles wasn't trying to impersonate Neil Peart. She wasn't copying every movement or forcing herself into an impossible role. Instead, she focused on honoring the music while bringing her own identity into the performances. That distinction became incredibly important to both surviving members of Rush. According to Geddy Lee, the band understood from the beginning that nobody on earth could replace Neil Peart. The goal was never replacement. The goal was respect, and perhaps the most emotional part of this entire story is the reported support from Neil Peart's family. Multiple reports claim that Peart's family gave their blessing for the tour, understanding that the performances would come from a place of tribute rather than exploitation. For many fans, that emotional approval changed everything. Now, as the 2026 tour approaches, fans are debating a question that goes far beyond music itself. Does performing Rush songs without Neil Peart weaken the band's identity? Or does it help preserve one of rock music's greatest legacies for a new generation? The answer may depend entirely on perspective. Some longtime fans believe Rush ended permanently in 2020 and should never return under any circumstances. Others argue that the music deserves to live on, especially if it's handled with honesty and respect. What makes this situation unique is that Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson seem fully aware of the emotional risks involved. They are not pretending this is classic Rush reborn. In fact, Alex Lifeson's comments suggest the exact opposite. He understands that the original version of Rush can never exist again. That honesty may ultimately become the reason many fans accept this new chapter instead of rejecting it completely. The presence of Anika Nilles forces everyone, including the band itself, to confront the difficult balance between authenticity and evolution. Can a legendary band move forward after losing one of its most important members? Can music survive even when the chemistry that created it is gone forever? These are the emotional questions surrounding the upcoming tour. But surprisingly, many fans online have started embracing the idea after watching Anika's performances and hearing the band explain their intentions. Instead of treating Neil Peart's legacy casually, Geddy and Alex appear to be protecting it carefully. Even the rumored title of the tour, 50-something, sounds less like a triumphant reunion and more like a reflective acknowledgement of time, loss, survival, and legacy. For Anika herself, the pressure is almost unimaginable. She isn't stepping into the shoes of an ordinary drummer. She's stepping into one of the most respected legacies in rock history. Ultimately, this 2026 tour may redefine what it means to preserve a musical legacy. It is not a resurrection of the old Rush. It is not an attempt to recreate the impossible. And it certainly is not an effort to erase Neil Peart's importance from the band's history. Instead, this new chapter exists in a fragile space between homage and reinvention. If the performances succeed, it will likely be because Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and Anika Nilles understood something very important from the beginning. Authenticity does not come from pretending nothing changed. It comes from respecting the truth that everything changed the moment Neil Peart passed away. And maybe that is exactly why this story matters so much to fans around the world. Not because Rush is somehow returning to the way things used to be, but because the band is proving that some legacies survive precisely because they can never truly be replaced. And maybe that's the real meaning behind this entire moment. Rush is not trying to turn back time. Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson understand better than anyone that the original spirit of Rush was built on the irreplaceable chemistry between three people. The loss of Neil Peart changed that forever. And instead of denying that reality, they seem determined to face it honestly. That's what makes the decision to bring in Anika Nilles so fascinating. She isn't being asked to become Neil Peart. Nobody could. She's being trusted to help carry the music forward with respect, intelligence, and emotion. And maybe that's the only way a legacy like Rush can survive. Not through imitation, but through interpretation. For fans, the 2026 tour may feel emotional, complicated, and even uncomfortable at times, but perhaps that discomfort is exactly the point. Great art leaves a permanent mark, and Rush was never meant to be easily recreated. This tour exists in the space between grief and celebration, between memory and evolution. And if these performances succeed, it won't be because Rush somehow returned to the past. It will be because the band found a way to honor the past without pretending it could ever truly come back. In the end, maybe Alex Lifeson was right all along. Without Neil Peart, it can never fully be Rush again. But perhaps preserving the legacy was never about replacing what was lost. Maybe it was about proving that some music becomes timeless precisely because it can never be duplicated.